I remember getting out of bed and realizing, whoa, there's nowhere to go. I'm home. I have landed. I'm safe. This is ground zero. This is ground start. This is ground end. And just being so grateful. To meet you as well.
Appreciate you taking this time to do an interview, just telling us about your journey with Trillium and your awakening process. So might as well just get right into it. Tell us about your story. Tell us about how you came in and your process.
Well, I came in through a friend. She and I had been on a different spiritual path together. She left, and she and I stayed in touch. And when I asked her, how are things, she said, oh, I found this amazing new group that really speaks to me. And I said, whoa, tell me about it. And so that was the launch. And as I came into it, into the Trillium community, I was right, because I had been doing this seeking work for some time, not all my life. I'm not one of those people who had visions when I was 3 or started meditating when I was 11 or 19 even, not till I was in my mid-40s. But I had been at it for quite some time and had frustrations, sort of lack of clarity, didn't kind of know where I was. I had a lot of information and had tapped in some ways to essential states, to my true nature, but not in any significant or constant way. And it was actually Trillium that made the difference there. It really, there were some key moments. I think I started by taking Ted Strauss's foundation course. And I did read a number of Saniel's books, Great Relief and The Spirit Matter Split. And it was like, wow, this stuff really speaks to me, the human condition, to what creates struggles and agony. And there is great relief. There's resolution to this. And I started really kind of hungering for that, because that's not something that I had experienced in my journeys in various schools and readings up to then. I remember particularly being struck by the views of what enlightenment means. What does it mean to wake up, to be enlightened, and all the false assumptions and beliefs and expectations that are out there in the world from different schools, from books, from hearsay, and that there's one thing and that it's all going to be brightness and light after a transition of some kind into a state which could be called waking up. And it was so helpful to have some normalizing around that. And I really appreciate Trillium for offering that foundation course and for the ongoing coursework. There's huge resources online, teacher interviews, glossaries, ongoing courses. It's just really quite remarkable and a huge benefit along the journey, even before, during, and after, waking up. Another thing I really liked was the notion of the 3 parts that we wake up to our true nature, to ourselves as infinite, as vast, as pure, as undivided. And we wake down to be fully in our bodies, to be embodied as this vastness, as this infiniteness. We are also finite. We're going to die. We have struggles. Things are not pure and bright and light, even after we realize our true nature. And then to include the mutuality part, that's something that's missing in a lot of spiritual traditions. And I really appreciate that. I love Trillium. I know the flower. And when that was chosen as the logo, and then the waking up, the embodiment, and the mutuality, it was just this really resonates deeply with me as a path, as a way of being on the planet. So sometimes it gets said that we're in the world but not of it. And I haven't really liked that, because I'm in the world and I am of it, and I am more than that. I am it, if you will. So the in the world but not of it is sort of like, yeah, I don't want to get my hands dirty. But Trillium is about really kneeling down into life, into relationship, into our embodiment, into the ups and downs from a place of wholeness. So that's my context, and I really appreciate all of that about Trillium, about the teachers, about the mentoring system, which is so helpful. That's available to people at any point along the way, as far as I know. Just the grounding, the whole approach of it really speaks to me. So after taking the foundation course, I was assigned a teacher. I worked with Fax Gilbert, and we did consultations. I worked with him through that course. And so what I'm about to say is my transition to that grounding in wholeness. And I was longing for it, and I was inquiring, because that's a practice that I know from other traditions. You really just to ask, what's going on here? What's my experience, and and I realized I was really longing for Onlyness, for that oneness, for the dropping into my true nature of vast undividedness. And I just couldn't get there. You can't do it. That's not where the masculine part works. I can't make this happen. I like that about Trillium too. Here's a parenthesis. I really like that there is an acknowledgement of the benefit of the masculine yang approach. Go for it. Seize the means of your own awakening or deepening, and the acknowledgement of the yin, the feminine, the receptive, the allowing, the surrendering. I love it that both of those are seen as valuable and important at different stages along the way. So I was wanting to grasp and make my awakening happen, and longing and reading and paying attention and taking a course, that's all along those lines. But then there came a point where I experienced, I can't do this. I don't know how. And there was a level of surrender that I experienced with that longing for a truer, deeper recognition of my true nature and undivided onlyness, wholeness. And with Fax, on a telephone call, one day about 6 years ago now, I guess, I just experienced that drop. And I realized, oh my goodness. And what had always been a bugaboo for me in previous inklings of this was the bad stuff that's going on in the world. Pollution, meanness, politics, lying, horrible stuff. And I remember checking from that place of dropping, of wholeness, of landing, of really feeling like, ooh, this is deeper, this is different, this is vast, this is restful, this is ground, this is home. I thought, ooh, I'm going to check. I'm going to look at some of the bad stuff. And it was included, it didn't jump out as separate or standing in the way or flipping me back into my dualistic finite place. And I just remember being so grateful. Then I remember the days following that where I would wake up and from bed, I would wake up in the morning and I remember getting out of bed and realizing, whoa, there's nowhere to go. I'm home. I have landed. I'm safe. This is ground zero. This is ground start. This is ground end. and just being so grateful. So, and then there was, then that becomes normal. And then I begin to have doubts. Speak for myself. I won't generalize because everybody's journey is different, although there are, some shared experiences for some people. That begins to be, okay, so where's the pop? Where's the more? Where's the, how come it's not perfect? How come everything, and you realize, oh, wait a minute. This is the beginning of the rest of my life. And I did take a Trillium course, which I found quite useful, called Welcome to, they called it then. You probably now the term is Whole Being Awakening. I don't know if the course was called Welcome to Your Second Life. And so that was an introduction of some of, and speak about some of these challenges, of realizing, wow, they say in the Zen tradition, if I'm not mistaken, that's not one of my paths, but I think they say before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And it's different. It's different. How is it different? How do you maintain contact with that difference? How do you not fall out of your whole being realization? And so there's ongoing work from a place of knowingness, a place of realization, a place of fullness. And for me personally, I've done work with mentors, and I've continued to read, and I have an ongoing meditation practice that is very meaningful to me. One of the things that is really helpful at this point for me is to look at where I have resistance, because I still am very much at a human being personality place where I have triggers, where I have preferences, where things there may come a point for some people. I know there is a point for people where that's not the case. I think what I appreciate about Trillium is that they don't see that as a goal, that we are human beings. We're likely to have these kinds of things all our life. I know some schools where they say you'll get beyond all those things, but I'm definitely in a place and in a body and in a mind that notices these things, preferences and anger and frustration and triggers. And I think this is almost bringing me up to speed where I am now. The beautiful thing is learning to not resist those, but learning to allow and accept that as the flow of my whole being awakening. That resisting and wishing and super ego attacks, dumping on myself, judging myself for, oh, well, you should be beyond that, or man, you triggered to that again. You know that pattern, you know that structure. Why are you no? Just gently observing and gently coming back to self-compassion, to maybe some humor, to maybe some insight. Oh, wow, yeah, that triggered me again. I really want, just whatever I can learn along the way about these things as they surface in my life. With a partner, I have a husband, I have grown kids, I have grandkids, I'm involved in my community. And just as I function in those different capacities, to be gentle with myself and accepting of the ups and downs is sort of my working edge now. So as I had this transition to whole being awakening at the beginning, and everybody makes it very clear, there's deepening for the rest of our lives. This is not an end point. This is the beginning. And I remember my yearning for oneness, for that experience of non-separation. And I remember looking out my window. My bedroom window looks out over Stanley Park, and every night before I go to bed, this is my office, but bedroom's next door, and I look out, and it was a drizzly day like as it is today, and sort of yearning for that experience, that grokked, that palpable experience of oneness. And feeling, experiencing the drizzle, and feeling how it just became one, that I was not separate from that. And it's soft merging. And it's almost like, it's not like flipping a switch day, night, light, dark, but it was a palpable shift from here I am looking at the rain to boundaryless merging with the world, with the park, with the rain, with the. I'm going to think of all kinds of cool things after we're done with the interview. But this was one early on that was really wonderful, and I had another kind of related experience that I really, really treasure, where I was experiencing awareness and the spaciousness of the vast, spacious, empty, clear place of awareness and knowing, and no boundaries between me, that just my speaking arising out of this void, that all appearance rises out of this void. And I was resting in that place for a while. And then my gaze fell on, there's a Sequoia tree out our building out the front. And I had this really precious experience of being that Sequoia tree, of that a kind of merging of non-separateness. That's not accessible now, but it was, holy mackerel. This is not familiar. This is not ordinary. This is a kind of experience of non-separateness, of oneness that's not kind of soft and gentle. It's like, whoa, it is a little accessible now, but not in the way it was then. And it's very precious, and even the memory of it is valuable. So in one hand, they talk about, I could get stuck on that, long for it, and feel crummy because I can't make that happen again. On the one hand, not useful. On the other hand, having that as a lived experience and a knowingness is valuable. I know that capacity, and it's one that is there. Yeah, I think another thing that really makes a difference in my life is the accessibility of our infiniteness that Trillium offers, and how right now I am both all and a particular. And that used to be mysterious and impossible, and it's like I can just pay attention and resolve that spirit matter split. There is none. It's of a piece. I am both here, finite, and fully infinite, fully spacious, fully no bound. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I think one other piece that has opened up for me since in this last while is more access to love, to my heart, to just opening my heart, not having a guarded place, not feeling I had something to protect, or that I was scared of being hurt, or there's a kind of freedom and relief of knowing who I am, and of knowing the truth of what I've just been describing, and the effect that it has in my. So another effect, in addition to what I've described, is the capacity to touch into my heart, both in accepting myself, which I've worked at a long time. I've thought I was pretty good, and then I keep discovering other ways I'm hard on myself, other ways I judge myself, other ways I don't like this about, other ways I'm critical, other ways I can't believe. And so having more compassion for myself really makes a big difference, but also being less judgmental, just being able to tap into my love for a sunset, my love for wet, shiny leaves in the natural world, my love for and acceptance of and appreciation of the mystery of a stranger on the street and the smile and dogs playing. And that's just a huge gift in living our lives. So that's become more accessible with the deepening in this work.
So I assume you've seen deepening in your relationships.
Yeah. Oh, the relationship is big. My husband and I have really been grist for each other's mills. We're very different, and we've triggered each other and hurt each other over the 30 years we've been connected. It's a second marriage. We were high school sweethearts, but we were very much in love, and we had lots in common, and were a good fit in many ways, but we really did bump up against each other. And in these last years, the capacity to accept each other for who we are. I can let him be who he is. And there are ways in which I care so much less about the way, about whether he's able to do that for me in any given moment, because there's a level of okayness that I can offer. And often it comes back in kind. So there has been an absolute growing together, deepening in kindness, deepening in our acceptance of each other, and better listening, and that there's a kind of ease and acceptance and a slowing down and allowing more space that has come in these last years that has really made a difference in our relationship too. And with my kids. Yeah, my grown kids, they're in their 50s. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. We are so grateful to have had you do this interview.
Well, I'm honored to be part of sharing the word about this wonderful path and about the resources that are available. And it's always fun to kind of reflect on one's journey and pick out some highlights. So it was my pleasure.